Imagine what's possible when learning doesn't get in the way of life. At Capella University, our game-changing FlexPath learning format lets you set your own deadlines so you can learn at a time and pace that works for you. It's an education you can tailor to your schedule. That means you don't have to put your life on hold to pursue your professional goals. Instead, enjoy learning your way and earn your degree without missing a beat. A different future is closer than you think with Capella University. Learn more at capella.edu.
Investies, I hope that you are enjoying your holidays. From myself and the Cosmic Standard team, we are wishing you all a very happy holiday season. Please enjoy this spectacular rerun that we felt needed to be re-listened to. Welcome back to another episode of Investies. I'm your host, Linda Garcia. This week on the podcast, we are answering a question from one of our community members. Andrea Gonzalez asks, do you recommend opening up a brokerage account through your LLC? Now, before I answer this question, I do want to go over what is an LLC and when you should actually have an LLC. The thing is, not every single business will benefit from an LLC. An LLC is a limited liability company. It is a business structure that offers limited liability protection and pass-through taxation. LLCs are created by state statute and can have different regulations depending on the state. Here's what I want to say about this that I feel is extremely important and goes overlooked. You need to have an accountant. If you are contemplating opening up an LLC, if you have an LLC, if you don't have a business at all, you need to have an accountant. An accountant is going to understand exactly where you are in your wealth creating journey, and their sole job is to save you as much money as possible. A lot of the times, as marginalized community members, we will DIY our taxes just to save money. This is one of the biggest mistakes that I see our community members make, because an accountant's job is to understand tax laws that are updated every single year and continuously change. It is also part of their job to understand what you do for a living so that they can write off as many expenses for you as possible. These are expenses that you incur even if you are not an entrepreneur. So working for someone else as a W-2 employee and also having your own business, it is equally important in both cases to please have an accountant. I dedicated an entire chapter on this in my book, Wealth Warrior, that you can purchase on Audible, in stores, local bookstores, on Amazon. Shameless plug here. But I wrote an entire chapter dedicating it to taxes. My accountant actually helped me move through that chapter because it was one of the most difficult chapters for me to get through. Why? Because I am not an accountant. I don't understand tax laws, and it is best for me to get a professional that does understand tax laws and will help me save as much money as possible. So I want to start off by saying that not everyone that is an entrepreneur should have an LLC. And your accountant should be the professional that is guiding you and letting you know at what point you should go from a small business that is doing business as and then transition into a proper LLC. An LLC can be really expensive to maintain depending on how much money your business is bringing in. It might not be worth paying the fees that you acquire annually to have an LLC. So that's the first thing. We have to make sure that we are in the proper sweet spot when we are incurring revenue for our business to even have an LLC. And again, your accountant is going to be the best qualified person to let you know when it's time to transition and how to establish your LLC, because there aren't necessarily tax strategies to an LLC. It depends on how you file. If you file as a sole proprietorship, then there are different tax strategies. This is why I always say, please, 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 make an investment in an accountant. And if you currently have an accountant that is not truly interested in what you do for a living and what your expenses are, then this accountant needs to be fired. You need to find someone that is actually contributing to strategies on how to save money. Taxes are one of the biggest liabilities that we have in this lifetime, and it should be someone's job to make sure that we are paying the least amount possible in taxes. I obviously have really strong opinions on this, and I get really passionate about it. You all know that my intentions are for us to be as successful and as business savvy, money savvy as possible. Let's take a break. Let's go ahead and pay some bills. And when we come back, we're going to get into the actual question. And we're back. Should I have a brokerage account through my LLC? I love this question. Believe it or not, this question comes up pretty often, most especially when I'm teaching Wealth Warrior, the course. I love the question because it tells me where the community's head is at. And I love where Andrea's head is at. She's thinking strategy. She's thinking, how can I leverage this? And that is amazing. So let's talk about some of the reasons why we have an LLC. It's really to protect our assets. I can protect my own personal assets from my business, and I can protect my business assets from my personal life. Meaning that if someone was going to sue me personally, they would not have access to any of my business assets. It is almost like I have created a completely separate entity away from me. So if someone sues me personally, they can only come after my own assets. This is why I tell you that it's important to identify whether or not you need an LLC. If your business is still small and it doesn't have any assets and there's no assets to protect, then you don't necessarily need an LLC, and it may be costing you more than what it's actually worth. If someone were to sue your business, then they could go after all of the assets in your business, and they would not be able to go after any of your personal assets. I don't want for scarcity mindset to come in here and think, oh, then I'm not going to build assets because I don't want anyone to come after what I've built. It's so crazy to me how scarcity mindset works in our marginalized communities. A lot of the times I hear people say, I don't want to invest in the market because I have to pay taxes. It's almost like we are afraid of the potential growth that we can have, and we are already thinking about how we are going to lose it. So with the way Andrea's thinking with this question, she's already thinking extremely strategically in the sense that she wants to grow her business assets. And that's exactly what we should be doing. I want to give you several examples of businesses that are leveraging their assets. When you go to the bank and you deposit money or money is transferred into your bank account, your bank is not holding on to that money. Your bank is actually investing that money and making sure that it is growing. The bank, better than anyone, understands the velocity of money. It understands that it is a must to put money to work. When we are putting our money in a savings account, we are putting it in a holding pattern. We are not making it grow. Despite getting interest rate, we are not getting anything in return when we account for the amount of annual inflation we can expect. Putting our money to work is not putting it in a savings account. It's taking that money and investing it. And since most folks aren't going to take that money and invest it, guess what? The bank is going to do exactly that. They will buy stocks, they will buy bonds, they will buy all types of securities in order to make more money off of your money. And you know who else is doing that? Corporations, publicly traded companies. They are taking the profits they make and they're also investing that money into other stocks, into bonds. They understand the importance of making that money grow. In fact, if a corporation wants to borrow money from a bank in order to leverage their credit, to leverage their net worth, the bank will take a look at how much money they have in their account. And if they have too much cash in their account, they see that as a red flag. They do not see that as a positive, like, oh yeah, they'll be able to pay the loan back. No, they see it as they don't know how to maximize their money. They're not investing it. They just have money sitting there depreciating. It is a red flag. And here's my final example, and one that blew my mind and makes sense after I processed it. I recently had an incredible meeting with the city treasurer here in Dallas, Pauline Medrano. Pauline, thank you so much for your knowledge and sharing how the Treasury Department works here in the city of Dallas. We visited with her entire team. Her office is an incredible office. And here's what pretty much had me falling out of my chair, which makes sense now, but in the moment, I was stunned. All of the taxes that we pay to the city, guess what the treasurer is doing with that money? They are investing it. They are investing it, and they are so aggressive with the investment that they are trying to get the money that is owed to them as fast as possible. They're having it go through the channels of checks and balances as quickly as they can so that they can turn around and invest that money and make that money grow. And they're under pressure doing that because they understand that every minute that that money isn't invested, it is losing its value. Not only is it losing its value, but the amount of money that they generate off of an investment, the return of their investment shrinks anytime there's a delay from investing their money. Can we just take a moment and process this? The money that we pay on our taxes, there is an entire team and an office that is really quickly flipping that money, investing it. And get this, the amount of money that they make on that investment, their ROI, is crucial. It is detrimental to the amount of money that it takes to run this city. Meaning that if they did not invest that money and they didn't have a return on investment from those tax dollars, the city would be in trouble. And this is not exclusive to cities. This also takes place continuously in the United States government. And I know that. I watch Fed Chair Powell and the decisions he's making on how much bonds he's buying from our government. I pay attention to this, but I guess I just hadn't processed what is happening with our tax dollars on a local level. And so, to answer your question, Andrea, if your assets in your LLC are significant enough, you should absolutely be investing some of your profit, some of your revenue back into other businesses. This adds to the net worth of your company. Now, opening your business brokerage account can look a little different than opening your personal brokerage account. On your personal brokerage account, this was relatively easy in the sense that you would open it online and within a few days you have a personal brokerage account. When it comes to your LLC, you are most likely going to have to fill out a form by hand, mail it in, have someone review all of the documentation on your business. They want to make sure that you are legit. Don't let this process stop you from doing it. Do it if you know that you are ready to start leveraging some of your profits in generating more assets, creating a higher net worth in your business. Definitely check with your brokerage account to see what their process is, as this can vary from company to company. Thank you so much for this question, Andrea. It is such a great question. I am so excited for your business and just the way your mind is thinking. You are in an abundance mindset. I love the strategies, and I'm happy that I could be here to answer your questions and share with you my personal perspective on whether or not you should have a brokerage account through your LLC. If you have any questions that you would like for me to answer, I would love to start answering questions in this way. As you see, I get super passionate about these topics. You can email me at linda@inluzwetrust.com. Put in the subject line question for podcast, and I'll start answering your questions here on the pod. Thank you all. You're listening to Investies, a Cosmic Standard and In Luz We Trust production. I'm your host, Linda Garcia. Special thank you to the team, Asia Simpson, Eliza Smith, and Jacob Winnick.